Hi, and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast for this Thursday episode, the first one of the new year. So it's great to have Tony back on the podcast, Tony Gordon. So thanks a lot for coming back on, Tony.
Thank you, Mark. So I always enjoy being here, so I'll come on anytime.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks a million. So today we were going to just talk, maybe give the listeners a bit of information on hypnotherapy would be great. Just maybe how could we put it, what hypnotherapy is for you and how you use it in your practice.
Yeah, that's fine. Probably a good idea is to think, rather than saying what I use it for, first of all, say what it's not. The reason I say that is because I get a lot of clients that come to me and they've got an interpretation of what hypnosis or hypnotherapy is. And they get a little bit nervous about it because things they've heard, they've read, or they've seen on movies or in books. So I'll explain a little bit about what hypnosis is, and then we can look at maybe, if you're right, some of the things, the most common things that people think, and I can show you why it's not true. Is that okay?
Brilliant. That's perfect. Tony, thanks very much.
So hypnosis, if you think hypnotherapy, the two main things that people think of is hypnotherapists who help people from a medically or clinical point of view, or hypnotists, which most people's interpretation of a hypnotist is a stage show that they've seen when they've been on holiday or on TV. But both of them work the same way. They're both called hypnosis. What we do in both events is hypnosis. The difference with the two of them is one is for entertainment and one is to help people to overcome their issues. But both can do that. Hypnotherapy in itself, the word hypno is just from the word hypnosis, and therapy from treatment. So it's the sort of clinical version of hypnosis. That's the main difference with it. So for me, I'm a class as a hypnotherapist. So I coach and do hypnotherapy. So from you say what I do with my clients, I use the hypnotherapy to alleviate any problems or issues that they've had from the past. And then I use my coaching skills to help them to move forward, basically empower them to take back control of their own lives. So that's how hypnosis and hypnotherapy works for me. The things I said, that the most common things is one thing right away that I always get is it mind control. People think you get a hypnotherapist is somebody with sort of superpowers or something. It's not. Yeah. It's just suggestion. It's a way of alleviating some of the issues that people have by giving them better suggestions and processes in their mind and how they can work. That's all. That's all it is. A hypnotherapist or a hypnotist, they don't have any superpowers. They don't have any way of doing anything more than anybody else, except having the skill of language and how to introduce that language into the sessions. So I don't really know where it came from with the mind control. I can only think, well, again, it's movies and things you've seen when people stare into the light. So that thing when somebody's, as we watch from side to side, look into my eyes, I'm going to hypnotize you. That comes from that, but it's not really true. I tell people I'm like a sort of tourist guide or a facilitator. And basically what that means is they're doing all the work. I just help to guide them along to find the right resources that they've already got within themselves. They just don't know where to look for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that, Tony. And how would you kind of start, like just say, for instance, a client comes in and how would you kind of start the session, like, to get them into a relaxed state? Could you maybe explain that for the listeners?
Yeah, well, before it even gets that far, Mark, we have an initial, I call it initial conversation. Some people call it initial consultation. You have a discovery call, whatever people want to call it. And that is a rapport thing. It's to get us to make sure we're fit for each other. So I've got a simple thing I say to little clients that come in. The way I look at things is one of three things will happen at the end of that initial call. They will tell me I'm not the right person to work with them for what their issue is. I will tell them that they're not right for me. But if I'm not, I will try and find them someone that's more suited if I can. And the third, the more likely event is that we make a plan of how to move forward together. To answer your question, the first part is the rapport. How do we get on with each other? So my first question to everybody is not about their issue or anything. It's tell me about yourself. So if you come into the office and sit in my office in front of me, my first question would just be, forget everything else, just tell me about Mark. Who is Mark as a person? And that allows me to get to know them. And then I just ask them, do they know what I do? Because I'm not a counsellor, which a lot of people think. And I said, there's different myths about hypnotherapy that people have. I gave you one there about the superpower sort of thing, the mind control. But there's other ones as well they'll ask about then is, do they go to sleep? Well, the answer is no. Hypnosis or hypnotherapy, your body relaxes, but your mind becomes more alert. It comes in an altered state. So it's moving you from one state to another. Do you realize that every single day people go into hypnosis without anybody else helping them? Do you know you do it every day?
Yeah.
So it could be, for example, driving a car. You drive. So if you drive a car from A to B, you don't stop and think, oh, I need to put my foot on the accelerator.
Yeah.
I need to put the brake here. You just automatically do it because you're so focused, your mind just takes over and it does it. If you read a book and you sit and you're reading a book, you read a lot. If you do that, you don't really notice what's going on around about. So the spatial awareness changes because you're only looking at that book or watching a really good movie. How many people go to cinema, they're watching a film and they come out and they think it's a different time of day, maybe nights when it's been the afternoon because they've been in all that darkness. You're so engrossed, you come outside and go, what time is it? You don't even realise that a couple of hours, 2.5, 3 hours have gone. And that's all hypnosis. So it's the best way of doing it is hypnosis is, you know, that feeling right before you go to sleep when you start to sort of nod and then you go to sleep. That bit in between is what hypnosis really is. And then again, before you wake up, you sometimes feel a wee bit drowsy. Before you wake up, you're half awake, half asleep. That's it. That's the most common state or trance state of hypnosis, is getting people into that. And once you're in that, if you think about yourself when you sleep, you're so relaxed. So a good hypnotherapist that will use the word sleep and relaxation, but that's only because it's how your mind thinks your body to do, but you're actually keeping the mind alert.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Thanks for that, Tony. Yeah, brilliant. Because because I get that exactly what you're saying there. Because you know when you're reading, you just lose track. You're in a trance. You know, it's or whatever you're doing, like driving, or like how many times have we driven along, and we're just so used to that journey. You say, God, how did I get here so quick? Like, you know.
Yeah, and you think you pass the same things every day, but if somebody asks you what did a certain bit look like, you'd go, I don't really know. But you pass every morning, but you don't take notice.
Yeah,
it's just a shop or it's just a building, and you go by. But if somebody says, how many doors in that building, how many windows, you'd be sitting going, I can't actually think, because we don't notice. Our brain takes it all in, but we delete things that's not necessary for us. So if you notice, see these things, your brain will go, no, you don't need to know that. So delete. It just keeps the memories you really need. But it's so true. I mean, one question you get because of that is, well, can everybody be hypnotized? Well, that just proves that, because you're doing it every day. So the answer is yes, but only if they want to. A hypnotherapist cannot hypnotize someone if you don't want to do it. You just put a block in your mind and just know, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. Then that's what will happen. I tell everybody it comes in, once I've got that relaxed, but we get to know each other, but that I'll explain what happens in the first session so they know when they're going to come back. They're going to go into hypnotherapy, so they're going to go into hypnosis. I'll explain what I'm going to do and what I'm aiming or what I'm using it for, which changes obviously depending on the issue the person's got, but they're already prepared for that. So by rights, before they even come, I've already got them get into that state, because their mind's already thinking the body's going to be relaxed. I'm going to be talking to their mind. So you get yourself into that because you're already thinking it. So it prepares them before they've even came.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's absolutely great. And then in your own experience as well, Tony, what things what things do you find hypnosis the best things to treat? Like would it be phobias, or could you maybe just explain that a bit, please?
Yeah. It can be used for a variety of things. I'll use personally what I do. So the main things that I'll really use it for, the first thing is I work a lot with people who suffer from depression, anxiety, or stress. So the first part for me is to get them to calm those thoughts down so they're not being overwhelmed all the time. And then I need to look at the reason why they've become that. Because when they go to a doctor or a GP, they don't have a lot of time to help them. So what they're really doing is, they'll send a wee prescription for them, saying, right, there's some drugs you need to take. Okay, that's you go. Go and take them and you're going to be better. So these antidepressants, which suppresses the feelings and emotions. So they do feel a little bit better, but they've not got rid of anything. So that's what I do. I take away whatever the cause is so that they don't need the medication in the long term. So it saves the GP having to do that, but it makes them feel better knowing that those feelings can never come back. Whereas if you just take medication, you stop the medication, it comes back, or it can still come back at any time anyway if you're only suppressing. So that's one of the main things. Other things I work with are people suffering from pain. I know people who have listened to me on it before know I suffer from that. I've got chronic pain. I had so many operations that I've been told I've done more damage recently than good, so they had to stop doing them. So I had to find a different way because I didn't want to go on medication the rest of my life. There's certain things I need to take, but not the painkiller. So I started doing the routines of self-hypnosis to work for me. So I use that to help a lot of my clients. So if they've got a lot of pain, anxiety, stress, if they've got fears, not necessarily to say phobias, but phobias as well, you can do. It's not something I do a lot of, but I can do it. A lot of hypnotherapists, it's something they specialise in, is dealing with phobias. But if someone's got certain irrational fear about something, then I will try and help the best I can for them. I'll always do that, but it's not something I normally advertise or specialise in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. Because I loved it. Yeah, phobias, because I that's why I initially thought as well that it'd be used a lot for that. That's that as well. But what I found very interesting, what you mentioned, self hypnosis, because I've been doing that myself, and it's really great to give yourselves suggestions. To something that you're lacking, or do you want to talk a little bit about that, like self hypnosis? I just find that really a great subject
Yeah,
I'm doing at the moment.
for subjects for people, a lot of people think it's similar to people that have done mindfulness or they've done meditation. If you do them, it's similar to that. You get very relaxed state of your body and your mind is alert. The self-hypnosis part is, it can be, mine's normally is between 5 and 12, 13 minutes, that's it. And what I do is I set it up to, initially to get my breathing right. So how to breathe myself to calm my body down. So I do a little breathing routine. I work with it, it calms it down. Then I've got certain statement things that I go through in my head, which helps me to alleviate any issues that I've had, and I replace them with something that's better for me. So it's like mantras that people say. So you hear people doing affirmations or mantras when they do meditation. It's similar to that, but it's personal to me rather than something that's like a general thing, wanting to just feel calm. It aims at whatever the specific area that I have is. And I do it on a little recording. So I record myself doing it and then I play it back to myself. And I do it for 28 days. The reason being for that is it normally takes 28 days to make a habit or to break one. So I do that. So it's a bit like if you think you run like an athlete, you have muscle memory. So the more you're using those muscles, the more you go, it builds up. Well, that's the same as this. Each day that I do this, the self-hypnosis, it's building those thought patterns into my head. So as I go along every day and as I sleep, when we go to sleep, we dream, we think, we thought there's all these things that sort of floating about in our mind, but you don't always know it. And we don't understand all the time why we do it, but we do it. And so what I do is play that to myself before I go to sleep at night. So the last thing I do, switch that off then, put my headphones off. I always put the headphones on because it seems to take you into a better state when you do that. So I advise anybody that does any self-hypnosis, use some headphones. And then when you're ready to go to bed, take them off, just lie down, and you'll find when you're doing that, over the 20 days, you'll sleep a lot better as well. And going forward for that, it gets you into that state that it helps. But then again, anytime you've had a little lapse or a bad day, that you just put the I call it MP3, but whatever you're recording is, put that on again, and it just helps you to get back into that again. So you can always do like a little boost.
That sounds like a great strategy, Tony. That's brilliant. Because so just to get it clear, so you'd basically would you write this down?
Yeah.
Or sorry.
I don't write it down as such, only because I record it as I'm doing it. So the first time I do it myself, I put a recording on. That's what I mean about the MP3, sorry. I do that. I've got a little thing that's next to me. 2 seconds. I have this that is always next to me, and it's a little Dicta Phone. It's tiny. For anybody using it, it's great because if anybody's watching, you can keep it in your hand and nobody really knows what you're doing. You could look as though you're talking on a phone with your headphones and that on. This is how big it is. See, that's great. It's literally tiny. It fits in your hand. So if I've got the headphones on and say I'm outside and I just think of something that would help with this, I can talk into this, but people just think that I'm actually talking on my phone. Or I can plug into this and keep it in my pocket and just switch it on. And as I'm walking along, I might think of things, and that would be a good way of doing it. Or that's a good way. I'm feeling really calm now because maybe I'm out in a countryside and I see a beautiful scenery. Then if it makes me feel relaxed, I might take down how it looks, describe it, or by the beach, which is my favorite. I know it's not everybody's thing, but I love by the beach. I love the sound of the sea. I love the feeling of the sand. So I will describe that to myself as I'm walking along, and I have this in my pocket. So everybody looks at me, doesn't think I'm mad, they think I'm talking on a phone. When all I'm doing is talking into this. And when I go back, I just put the pieces together, all the different bits that I've got, and I just sort of splice them on a system we use called Audacity. I just put it onto there, put each bit in, and I make it into everything for myself. I can make them for clients as well. I do it for a lot of my clients. If they want, I'll make one of these up for them, and whatever subject they want. So it can be used for the self-hypnosis. For me, it's for pain management. You could do them for happiness. You could do it for confidence. You can do it for relief if someone's had any issues. Whatever the subject is, you can make one of these up. It's the bit from the report I said to a client, I just need to know a bit about them and then their favourite things. Because what you don't want to do, describe to somebody because it suits me walking along a beach and they've got a fear of water. Or they're scared because they don't know what's in the water. Some people have that fear is because they can't see everything in it. Whereas if you're out in a field, they like the countryside because it's wide open. So they feel safe because they can see everything about them. So that's the bit that's important, is getting that report, understanding your client, and then making something that suits, and then they can just play it at their own leisure.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great. Like, I must try that kind of myself. So that's brilliant, Tony, and it's great for anybody that's listening as well. Like, but one thing I will ask you as well, do you know, one of my favorite things to do with the hypnosis is the lever. You know, the lever going down from 1 to 10. To bring yourself down to relaxation. So I find that really good for me, but and everybody's different. But what you know, I don't know if you use the body scan or the lever, but I find, you know, if you're doing something like that, a technique within hypnosis, would you ever use a timeline to follow that on? Would you use that kind of system, or would you do them separately?
What do you mean by a timeline to follow on from that?
Like, what I mean is, like, for instance, if I was trying to get someone in a relaxed state, I'd get them to imagine in their head a lever after doing the breathing exercise and listen to the sound of my voice, and then bringing the lever down from 10 to 1. And as you get down to 1, you're really relaxed. And then get them to think of a timeline while they're in that state, in the relaxed state, and going back or forward, you know, to would you ever use something like that, Tony? Sorry.
Yeah, but just so people understand, timeline is a technique that can be used from a thing called neuro-linguistic programming. It also has a thing in hypnotherapy. The bit you described at the beginning is like an induction or a deepener, is to get someone into the right state so that they can make the change. The change, what we call, is what we mean by, if someone comes with an issue, how can we alleviate that issue for them and start getting them into a new way? Timeline is one option for that. It's not always something that I would use because, like I said, it depends on the issue with the client. If it's someone who comes on, for example, who have maybe a trauma, PTSD, and it was because one major event, then a timeline's perfect, because all that means is I can take them back to roughly when that event happened, and then we can try and alleviate. They keep the memory of it because that's important. That's made them the person they are. But what we do is alleviate those emotions that stick with them, that make it difficult to think of that time again. So that's when I would move maybe a timeline. But other things that you said, you can just do something like we call future pacing. So if you do it rather than a timeline, I could say to them, okay, once we sort the problem, what I'd like to do now is just imagine what it's going to be like in a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, when you're able to walk around and do it without whatever the issue is. How's that going to feel? What would that look like to you? What would it look like through your eyes, your ears? And let them experience it and immerse themselves in the feeling. So it's not necessarily a timeline, but we can get them to look at things like ahead just so they can get a feeling of what it's going to be like. So that's, it would work. So it is one technique, but it wouldn't be used for every client. It would depend on what the client required.
Of course, no, that's great, because I was always I was practicing this myself, Tony, and when I was doing it, I kind of helped to be actually in a really relaxed state before sometimes even doing the future pacing or the timelines. Do you find that as well? Like, because, you know, rather than, you know, getting nice and relaxed in a good state, like, they're going to actually remember it, aren't they? Like, with suggestions.
Yeah, it's you mentioned the lever. There's all different things. Everybody's got their own technique. One of the most common ones that people might know is the staircase. You hear somebody say, I'm going to go down 10 stairs. So they go down the stair. But what that staircase looks like is up to the client. So I mean, for example, I say to clients, if I do that one with someone I know that it suits, it might say it could be made of wood, it could be marble, it could be stone, it could be whatever they want it to be. So only their mind knows that, and you can count that down. And each step you're doing, what you're doing is just getting to relax deeper, more and more. So before you start doing any change of that, you've got them to such a state, that they're ready to make those changes. There's a lot of other ways you can do it. I do one like an elevator. If I know the person doesn't mind them. So again, the same idea. They're going down the floors, they go down 10 floors, they go down. If they need to go a bit further, and I get them to the 10th floor, get them all down to there, and they go, they're still not exactly where I need them. I'll just say, right, we've got another floor below that. So I've came down from 10 to 1. This is the lower ground floor now. What I'd like you to do is to go down to lower ground, take that extra. There may be a basement after that. Again, it all depends on the clients. You can start whatever you want. But at least if you're putting that, the only idea of those things is because it's something that's easy for people to think of. So if you're getting them to go down, the word down itself, that's to think of relaxing. So if you're going down, your head starts to fall, your body relaxes. It's just a great use of words that helps people to get them into the place you need before you can start working with them.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. Yeah, because I'm with you with the staircase. I find that really, really good as well. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. And I hope your business has gone good for you as well, Tony. Like, if anybody wants to contact you, I know you have your details there for anybody that's looking on YouTube can avail of your services. So that's great. So for people that are listening on Spotify, would you mind just giving a bit of information about how to contact you, please, Tony?
Yes, certainly. There's several ways they can. One is just go to my website, which is changingyourmindlimited.com. If they go to that, then what they can do then is they can just go a contact form and send me any details. Simplest way is just to email me. So email me whatever they actually require is what they're looking for. And then what I'll do is I'll get back to them with a time that we can arrange for a quick chat. I'll send them what's called a calendar link. It's just a link to my diary. They just pick the time that suits them, and then we arrange a wee chat. That's free of charge. Then when they want to go ahead and work, we can go ahead and arrange that. The third way is just to give me a call. Simple. Call me on the mobile. If I'm with a client, it will tell you, and I'll go into the answer machine. Just leave a message and I'll call you back as soon as I finish with the client. So the email is tonygordon@changingyourmindlimited.com. The limited part is LTD. So it's tonygordon@changingyourmindltd.com, or give me a call on 07581 410 435. So that's 07581 410 435. Either way, then there's 3 ways to get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to help.
That's brilliant, Tony. Thanks a lot for sharing that, everyone. That's brilliant. Thanks again for coming on, talking about hypnosis today. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to maybe mention about hypnosis before we go, Tony? Is there anything else that I haven't asked you'd like to maybe share with the listeners?
Just as I said, there's certain things that people say what is and what it isn't. It's a great way. I cannot make someone do something they don't want to do. So from hypnotherapy, it's such a safe way. If you go with someone who's trained this properly, your mind will only allow you to do what you want. And the reason I picked that up is because people say, but I've seen people on stage dancing like chickens, or they've been acting drunk, or they've been dancing stupid, or they're doing something. That's a stage show because people want to go up. People who go there are already interested in going up. So all that happens is they're given some suggestions, and their mind goes, they can't wait to get there, they go up. That's why you see a hypnotist will stand, say, right, what I'd like you to do maybe is clap your hands and do a certain thing. They're just checking who's the quickest people to react to that, because they're normally the first ones they'll get on stage. For a hypnotherapist, the same as I can only give you suggestions that can help you. I can't give a suggestion that's going to harm you, because your mind won't let that happen. So it's such a safe thing to do. And I say to anybody that's on it, if you want to get help to improve from any issues, it is one of the quickest and long-lasting ways that you can help to improve yourself.
Yeah, that's great, Tony, because I agree with you 100% there, because somebody was hypnotizing me there recently as in practice. And it was funny, like I was under and he really, really deep. But then one of the kids came in and and disturbed it. And I was able to just come straight out of it. So it just for anybody, you are in control. Like, just, even though you can break out of yourself, like it's not as if you can't. So did you find that yourself?
Yeah, if you ever want to, your mind will just get you up, you can walk away. It's fine. A hypnotherapist will do is guide you out. The only reason we guide you out is to save you coming out quickly and being a wee bit disorientated for a second or two. We'll count to like 5 normally. I'll count to 5. When I get to 5, you open your eyes. And what I say to people is just take a few seconds, stare at something, maybe so you've not looked at it for a while. It just helps you to focus so you get clarity again. It's just sometimes if you've been in that relaxed state, it seems you've been asleep. I say that bit between sleep and sleep. If you're drowsy and you suddenly stand up, you get bang into something. So that's all. That's the only reason. You can still do it whenever you want. It's totally get out, just come out of it. But it's sometimes better to let the hypnotherapist bring you out. Just make sure it's a wee bit safer that way for you. But you can, you're in total control. You can stop at any time you want.
Yeah, so that's great, Tony. Thanks a million for coming on again, talking about the hypnosis. It's great to have you on. It's always brilliant to have a good friend on, you know. But
I enjoy it.
But listen, and all the best. Happy New Year to you as well. I hope to maybe get you on in a couple of weeks again. Yeah, so thanks everyone for listening to Mark's motivational podcast for this Thursday episode. So tune in again for Sunday. We're gonna have Music Sunday. So thanks again, Tony, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.